it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Bramble Fox. And I'm using a title from the April Fox box, a couple of the tiny people and a couple of the swallows. Now I've got the tiny people in white and the swallows in black, but both do come in different colours on the website. So the tiny people you can get in either white or pink, and the swallows you can get in black, white or blue. And I love these little people. I'm going to use the one of the little boy and girl holding hands because the photo I'm scrapping today is of myself and my little boy over the fields at the back of our house, so I thought they worked really well. So as you saw, I started by drawing a heart on my background. Luckily I found a heart I had cut from patterned paper in one of my drawers because I'm useless at drawing hearts, so that was quite handy. And I'm basing this layout on an idea I saw on Pinterest ages ago, and it was essentially a something, I think it was a wall decoration or something. It was heart shape made of tiny strips of, it was either coloured paper or ribbon or lengths of ribbon, something like that. Lots of them, all sort of layered on top of each other in a heart shape, and I thought it would make for a really pretty scrapbook layout. So I'm going to give it a go. I wasn't sure if it was working pretty much the whole way through. I thought I was going to have to abandon this idea and didn't think it was looking good. But once I had my photo in place, I actually really liked how it looked. So I'm glad I stuck with it. So I'm working with Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Indigo Garden collection, and I'm using this pattern paper with the butterflies, and I think it's so pretty and I love the colours on it. In the photo, my little boy I think is wearing blue, I can't remember now, but I'm wearing pink, so that to me is an excuse to get some pink on the layout. So I've got pink and blue butterflies, there's some yellow and white as well, and a lot of the background of this paper is pink as well. And I've cut the entire 12 by 12 sheet into 1 centimetre strips. And in order for me to get those stuck onto my background, I'm applying double-sided tape all around the inside edge of my heart, and I'm going to do some bits in the middle as well. Now I do get through a lot of double-sided tape on this layout. You can use wet glue, I suppose, to do this, but that takes a while to dry, and I think with just having lots of fiddly bits of paper, I think it would have just been a nightmare. So I think double-sided tape is probably the best option. But you can see there I've just put it all around the edge and some bits in the middle. I'm going to cut those 12-inch long strips down. I start off cutting them, I think, into 3 lengths, and then by the end I want some shorter ones, so I go for 4, so they end up about 3 inches long each. And I'm going to go the whole way around the heart. Now I'm making sure that the strips of paper go outside my pencil line, but still following the shape of the heart. This will make more sense as I go along, but I'm turning them at an angle so that they're kind of going from almost the centre out, a bit like a starburst design, overhanging that pencil line but still following the shape of the heart. So at the top I've got shorter ones, they're not overlapping that line by as much, and then as you get further out towards the curves at the top there, they overlap a little bit more. Trying to keep the shape of the heart, but I don't want it perfect. I want the paper strips to be different lengths. And I'm going to keep going the whole way around the heart, and once I've got this first row in place, I'm going to add some more double-sided tape on top of all of that, sort of in the centre area where my photo will cover. And like I say, I get through loads of tape, but I keep adding more tape to make sure that these pieces are stuck down. And then the next layer, I kind of stagger them so that I'm filling in the gaps, if that makes sense. And then as I get towards the middle more, I make them slightly shorter so that they're not all the same length, just to bring in lots of texture and dimension. And by the time this is finished, it is so dimensional because I'm going to kind of curve all the outer edges up with my hands. It's quite therapeutic to do, really, but it is a very dimensional layout. But I'm glad I stuck with it because I do love the way it looks. For now though, I'm just going to be quiet for a bit, give my voice a rest, and I will I'll leave the full process in so you can see what I'm doing and how I'm arranging them. I think it would be quite tricky to try and explain it without the visual aid, so I'll leave you with some music just while I finish this off. And there we go. I think I'm just about done now. And I'm still at this stage not convinced I'm going to like the finished product, but I persevere, and I am much happier once my photo is in place. Now I've got a set of hip kit nesting dies that came with one of my hip kits. I use these all the time. Unfortunately, my die cutting machine is tiny. I've got the little one that Aldi sold a couple of years ago, and it's only about 3.5 inches wide, the cutting plates, so I can't get the larger dies from this set through, but I do use them a lot to draw around, just use them as a template really, as a stencil, and I found them super helpful for that. So I've just drawn around my photo and turned that into a circle, and I'm going to have that sat in the middle, but I've just realised that I want some shorter bits as well. At the moment all the lengths are quite long, so I'm just coming in with the last few bits of this pattern paper that I had left, just adding some shorter strips, and again varying the angle that they come at so that it's kind of, there's some all the way around the circle. And by the time I'd finished that heart, the centremost point of the heart was probably about 1 centimetre thick because of all the overlapping bits of paper in the middle. So I mounted my photo onto some white cardstock just to give it a border around the edge and offer some separation. And I also find it helps to make the photo a bit sturdier. I don't find photo paper very thin, so doing this just makes it a bit sturdier. I'm going to add a couple of layers of coloured papers behind it. So I think I use one of the patterned papers, it's the pink and white gingham one. I'm just going to leave a thin border and distress the edges of that. And then I'm going to do the same with a piece of navy basil cardstock. I'm slowly getting there because like I said, the centre of that heart is it's quite dimensional and quite raised off my background. When I stick my photo down, it means there's going to be almost like a pivoting point, but like a spinning top underneath. So I need something around the edge of that so that my photo can sit flat on that background. So I'm adding some craft foam around the edges where it's a bit more flat, and then that's helped to keep my photo flat and level. And now comes the fun part of distressing and roughing up all the edges of those paper strips. And I love the noise of doing this as well, one of the weird things I enjoy. But I really enjoyed doing that. I've just used my hands and my fingers, as you saw, to curl up all those edges. And then I know I want to use the beautiful perspective from the April Fox box as my title. I love that colour. It's like a dusky pink, but it matches the cardigan I'm wearing in the jumper really well, and also the pink tones in that butterfly paper. So I'm going to have that sitting at the bottom of my photo. I'm just peeling that protective film off. If you're new to Bramble Fox products, when you receive them, they will have a protective film, usually on the front and the back, just from where they've been put through the laser machine. You just need to peel that off. If you've got perspectives that have got etched detail on the front's usually already gone, but you'll still have a protective layer on the back, so you just need to peel those off. And then I'm going to bring in some of my white tiny people as well. I wasn't sure to start with where they were going to sit, so I wanted to get some embellishments on first. And because those perspectives are little, as they're called, tiny people, they're perfect for just adding sort of, not at the end, but after you've got the bulk of your embellishing down, like your larger pieces, those perspectives just make the perfect finishing touch, and they kind of tuck in and layer nicely. So I've used some of the floral die cuts and added some flowers around the edge of my photo, and then that kind of offers me a couple of choices of where I can put those tiny people. So I'm getting there with the embellishing now. I don't want to add too much because that heart with the pattern papers is already looking quite busy. It's very busy for me, that pattern paper. So I don't want to add too much, but I've got some flowers, I've got a little banner piece at the top, and I've got a little kind of like a tab or a label that says together that I'm going to put under my title, so my title reads beautiful together. And I know my title's going to sit there, so I've applied that with some glossy accents now and got that stuck down. Now I'm just peeling that layer of film off my little people, and I'm gonna find a place for those. And then I'm also going to bring in some of the black swallows. Now I know they're swallows, there weren't any swallows flying around when this photo was taken, but we do get a lot of red kites where we live. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Any day the sun is out, you can guarantee there will be hundreds of red kites all day long, just circling up above, and these swallows really reminded me of that. So the photo was taken on the field at the back of my house. We'd gone over for a walk one Sunday and played with my son's stomp rocket, and the birds obviously thought it was food, and they were circling all above our heads trying to get his stomp rocket, and they go so far in the air. It must be like 100 meters in the air or something stupid, and they kept trying to swoop down, but by the time they'd come there, the rocket had landed on the floor and they were out of luck. But the swallows really reminded me of that, so they were perfect for this layout. And I think I'm going to bring those in at the end once I've got all my embellishing on, and then I can have them flying around my layout sort of over my heart. Just getting this together piece in place on the bottom of my layout. I didn't want it to look like I just plonked it there without a thought, so I'm piercing some holes either end of it, and I'm just threading some embroidery floss through it, doubling it over, and I'll cut that short so there's just a little bit of tail on the threads, but it's just another texture on the page and makes it a bit more interesting. Looks like I've given some thought into putting it there as opposed to just chucking it there with a bit of tape as is. So I like how that looks and works with my title. I've added a couple of butterflies as well. Got a little tiny yellow one under my title and then a larger pink one to the top, kind of going diagonally through my layout. And then these are the black swallows I'm bringing in. So again, they've got a protective film on. I'm peeling that off to reveal that lovely shiny black acrylic. And I'm going to have one up the top there, kind of swooping down over the tiny people, and then the other one over onto the right, kind of flying in to the photo in towards my son and I. And I really love how they look on this page. Really do remind me of the day. There's nowhere for journaling really on this page, and I'm terrible for journaling, so I will write some information on the back. I always write a bit of a story on the back, and I probably will write about the red kites as well, but that will all go on the back. But that is me finished for today. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this layout and it's given you some inspiration. I will leave you with lots of close-ups, and in the description box below you'll find a link to the Bramble Fox website, the Foxbox subscription page, which is a monthly box of goodies you get through the door, which will include an exclusive design as well that's not available in the shop. And I'll also leave a link to our Bramble Fox Friends Facebook group, so if you're not already a member, do head on over and join, and you can get lots of inspiration from our members and other design team members, and you can also join in with our monthly challenge as well and win yourself a voucher for the store. So thanks again for joining me. I'll leave you with the rest of the close-ups, and I'll see you next time.